Long before kingdoms or conquerors, this land pulsed with unseen power. The rivers carried whispers, and the mountains kept secrets older than memory. In those forgotten days, a solitary mystic walked between worlds, neither man nor beast, but something in between. From his hands came wonders and curses. And in time, two children would bear the weight of both. One born to guide, the other to devour. Their fates would shape every shadow and every light that walks this earth. I came to Cadejo Brewing Company in Zona Rosa to tell this story for very obvious, very research-related reasons. Please understand, I'm a professor doctor. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not an animator. Hiring those people costs money. So these illustrations, this is me doing my absolute best. I'm learning as I go. Please be kind. As always, thank you to Timeless Stories of El Salvador for the inspiration.
Hola. I am at Cadejo Brewing Company in Zona Rosa, and I could not be more excited to finally be here. I've been trying to get here for a while, mainly because the Cadejo story is one of my favorite stories, and I can't wait to tell it. And I really wanted to tell it here. I have just been so ridiculously busy. I'm even happier that, of course, they've got drinks on the menu, but they also have a couple of things that are marked as vegan on the menu. Summer rolls are marked as vegan, and then they have lots of things that are marked as vegetarian that can be made vegan, so very accommodating location. Perfecto. Muchas gracias.
¿Vaso con hielo? ¿Ice?
No,
No.
no. Perfecto. Gracias. Long before this place was called El Salvador, long before the arrival of the Spanish, the people believed in many gods, and the forests whispered with spirits.
The land was known by the songs of the birds and the breath of the wind. It was a time when men still spoke in reverent tones of magic. Deep in the heart of a green and endless forest, a shaman lived alone in a mountain cave high above the mist.
His name was Walla, and he was older than even he could remember.
Sometimes he walked the earth as a man of wiry limbs and long, ash-colored hair. Other times, he soared through the skies as a great horned owl, silent and swift, in search of rare herbs and ingredients. Among them, the most potent was blood. Animal blood, warm and fresh, was his key to crafting potions that could bend the very nature of being. He would descend into the valley and feast, then vanish into the mountain. In the valley below lived a farming village. The people, though wary of the owl that drank their animals' blood, knew nothing of the creature's true nature. They agreed that if any of them ever laid eyes on the flying menace again, they would kill it to protect their own.
One day, twin boys were born to a woman and her husband in that village, but they were unlike any boys the village had ever seen before.
One boy, Walla, was fair-skinned with straight hair like gold and eyes like the sky. The other, Baka, was dark as the earth, with curly, jet-black hair and deep brown eyes. They were brothers by birth, but reflections of opposites. Their mother, bewildered, unconsciously favored Walla. She sang to him, soothed his cries, and nestled him close. Baka, left to the silence, grew independent, mischievous, and hungry for attention.
As the boys grew, they developed polar opposite personalities, yet they were inseparable. Two sides, same coin.
Where Walla was obedient, Baka was defiant. Where Walla sought peace, Baka sought thrill. Yet they were bound by something deeper than likeness, an unbreakable tether of blood. One day, Baka coaxed his brother to sneak out and play. The twins slipped away. Baka crept through bushes, jumping out to scare passing villagers. Walla followed silently, unwilling to abandon him. Then, a shadow crossed the sun. A great horned owl, its feathers smeared with red. Baka's eyes gleamed. "Let's follow it," he whispered. Walla hesitated. "Let's go home," he urged. But Baka had already set off, and so Walla followed. They climbed the mountain in silence, hearts pounding. At the mouth of the cave, they watched with a mixture of horror and wonder.
The owl landed and then twisted and shifted into a man. Wakatil, the last shapeshifter, stood before them.
"You're the owl!" Baka cried. "I'm telling everyone!" Wakatil whirled around, shocked by visitors. Walla covered Baka's mouth. "We won't tell anyone. Please, just don't hurt us." Wakatil raised an eyebrow. "I haven't had visitors in 100 years. What are your names?" Baka shrugged off his brother. "I'm Baka. This is my brother, Walla." "You don't look like brothers," the shaman said. "You don't even look like cousins." "We know," Baka muttered. Wakatil smiled. Walla stepped forward. "What kind of man becomes an owl?" "A changeling, the last of my kin. I am alone here. Won't you stay a while?"
Muchas gracias.
Con gusto. Y cubierto.
Okay. Perfecto.
Buen provecho, con gusto.
Hey, I feel like I smell cucumber in the spring rolls, or the summer rolls, is which they are officially called. I don't know. I didn't read the description well enough to know if there's cucumber in it. I just kind of saw vegan and said, let's go for it. Hopefully the peanut sauce will mask the taste of the cucumber. It's not terrible. I can work with this. Baka sat right down and made himself at home. Walla hesitated, but Baka pulled him down right beside him, as usual. Wakatil made them a stew, rich with herbs and stories.
Baka devoured the stew eagerly and requested seconds. "This is the best food I've ever had. What's in it?" "Spices gathered from knowledge passed down through blood," said the shaman. "Can you teach us to transform?" Baka asked. "Careful, Baka," warned Walla. "I can make you an elixir. But think carefully. Shape has power. Shape has consequence. I want to be a huge dog, Baka exclaimed. By night, I'd growl and frighten the village. By day, I'd get pets and food. No one would ever know. And you, Walla? Asked Wakatiel. I'm happy as I am. Think about it and come back tomorrow. And if you still wish to change, I will help you.
The boys returned to the village, but Baka could not sleep. His thoughts burned with excitement. While Walla slept peacefully, Baka slipped away, climbed the mountain again, and demanded he be transformed or he would tell everyone Wakatiel's secret.
The shaman studied him carefully and said, "You are eager, perhaps too eager, but your mind is set." With a quiet breath, he turned to his satchel and began his work. Carefully, he laid out his herbs and powders, measuring each with practiced precision. He ground roots, crushed dried leaves, and stirred them into a clay bowl with slow, deliberate circles. A faint shimmer rose from the mixture. At last, he turned to Baka, eyes solemn, and handed him the potion in a bowl. Transformation is not a toy. You must sip it slowly and think deeply about what you wish to become, or the creature you create will be wrong, an abomination. But before he could finish, Baka had drained the bowl.
At once, his body twisted and cracked. His skin darkened to black fur. His eyes turned to embers. His feet curled into hooves. A giant hound-like beast that smelled of goat howled and leapt from the cave.
Baka was set loose, unchained, for the first time in his life. That night, terror descended upon the village. The black beast rampaged through the streets, snarling and snapping, toppling walls and tearing into flesh, scattering villagers like dry leaves in a storm. Cries pierced the night as doors flew open and startled faces emerged, only to retreat in terror. Amid the chaos, Walla stirred from sleep. Drawn by the commotion, he stepped into the night and froze. In the flickering torchlight and shadow, he alone saw it. A familiar gleam buried deep within the creature's monstrous eyes. It was his brother, Baka.
The first chance he saw, Walla bolted through the jungle and climbed the mountain. He found Wakatiel in quiet meditation.
My brother is hurting people. You must change him back. I will, if he returns. He won't. He loves creating fear and chaos. Walla paused and took a deep breath. Make me strong. Let me stop him. Again, the shaman crafted a potion. Drink slowly, he began. But Walla drank it all in one desperate gulp. Wakatiel sighed. Perhaps you are brothers after all.
Walla's body arched and contorted, then rose, reborn as a white beast, majestic, with hooves of silver and eyes as blue as the morning sky.
Walla leapt from the cave. Just as the black beast, Baka, had pinned a trembling child beneath his weight and bared his fangs, a sudden blur of white collided with him. With a snarl and forceful lunge, the white beast drove Baka off the child, using his body as a shield. The two great creatures circled one another, muscles taut, eyes locked, ancient instincts flaring. Baka's growl rumbled through the forest floor, but as he looked deeper into the white beast's eyes, realization struck like lightning. It was his brother, Walla.
The boys clashed as beasts. evenly matched, unyielding. Each time Baca tried to charge toward the village, Walla stood in his way, unrelenting. No harm would come to the people, not while Walla stood watch. One by one, the villagers fled to their homes.
When there was no one left to terrify, Baca gave up and slunk back into the forest. Walla followed. Together, they rested among the roots and ferns, their sides rising and falling in rhythm. "This isn't fun with you around," Baca grumbled, curling into himself. "You're done with this now," Walla replied gently. "Tomorrow we change back, together." "Fine," Baca muttered. Sleep came over him, like fog over the mountain. Walla nestled beside him, and the forest watched over them in silence. At dawn, the cave was bathed in golden light. Wakatiel stirred his breakfast and gasped. A chill ran through his bones. He realized he lacked the final ingredients to restore the boys to their human forms. With urgency in his veins, he transformed into an owl and soared into the awakening sky, seeking what was needed.
Back in the village, fear gripped the morning air. The elders convened. 2 boys were missing, Walla and Baca. Surely the beasts had devoured them, or so they feared. A decision, grim and resolute, was made.
Most of the men took up spears, their faces hardened by dread and fury. The boy's father, tears brimming in his eyes, gripped his bow with practiced hands, his heart a maelstrom of anguish and resolve. They did not go alone. They moved in packs, shadows among shadows, driven by grief and vengeance. The creatures would be found, and they would be slain. As Wakatiel's creations, the boys were cradled by the forest, veiled from the men searching for them. Deep beneath its emerald canopy, Walla gently stirred Baca from sleep. He spoke no word, but his eyes burned with quiet urgency. With a silent nod, he beckoned his brother toward the mountain, toward the cave where the old shaman would reverse their misfortune.
As dusk bled into night and the horizon burned with the last embers of daylight, hope dimmed. With weary limbs and heavy hearts, the search was called off. Everyone was ordered home.
Disappointment weighed heavy on the search party. As their torches flickered and shadows thickened across the land, a silent, winged shape swept low. A great, horned owl. But the men knew at once, this was no mere creature of the night. This was the bloodsucker, the one they'd sought longer than anyone could remember. Hope rekindled in their eyes. They gave chase. Among them ran the boy's own father, his bow drawn tight with resolve. The string sang, and his arrow flew. It struck true.
With a piercing shriek and a flurry of scattered feathers, the wounded owl spiraled from the heavens to the fields below. The boys saw their friend fall and raced to the rescue.
From the jungle emerged the 2 beasts, sprinting with desperate speed. They reached Wakatiel's broken form and carried him away before the villagers could lay claim. No one could match their speed. The forest swallowed them whole. Moving faster than the wind, they ran through the forest and up the mountain. In the cave, the bleeding owl transformed into a man for the last time. Death was imminent. Wakatiel staggered. His potions spilled. He had only enough ingredients to restore one of them. He mixed the elixir and laid it in a bowl in front of them. The boys looked first at the potion and then to one another. How could either choose? They could not. They did not. Wakatiel slumped over and collapsed on the cave floor. His face, old, wise, and tired, etched with pain. He whispered, "I have had a good, long life, but a lonely one. Remember, you have each other. That is more than most." His eyes closed, and then stillness. The boys nudged him with hooves and wet noses, but Wakatiel did not stir. With him died the secrets of his sorcery, of healing, of transformation, of return. He had passed them on to no one, and so the brothers remained beasts, forever bound by blood and magic. It's a great story, but what does it all mean? Fortunately, alcohol has given me the gift of clarity, and I'm about 3 drinks in.
To this day, Walla and Baca still roam the night. Their true names, long forgotten, they are now known only as the Cadejos, mystical hooved hounds of light and shadow. Walla became the White Cadejo, a guardian spirit of goodness and protection, appearing to those in need to guide them and shield them from harm. Baca, the Black Cadejo, embodies darkness, temptation, and fear, preying on lost souls and leading them astray. Though the storytelling differs, their legend endures across Central America as a symbol of the eternal struggle between good and evil, not just in the world, but within the human psyche. The White Cadejo inspires and safeguards. The Black Cadejo tests and corrupts. Together, they remind us that every life is shaped by choices, and every soul must walk its own path between light and shadow. Do you think you are more Walla or Baca, light or shadow? Let me know in the comments. While you're at it, since you made it this far in the video, please click the like button. It helps more than you know.
And so, the brothers never returned to the world of men. Their names faded from memory, but their footsteps did not. In the darkness, they became guardians and warnings. 2 spirits born from the same blood, shaped by different choices. One walks beside the lost, offering protection and safe passage. The other lingers at the edge of fear, tempting, testing, reminding us of what happens when desire outruns restraint. Across Central America, their legend survives not because it is frightening, but because it is true. The Cadejos are not just creatures of the forest. They are reflections of us, of the light we choose to follow, and the shadow we allow to grow. Every soul walks between both. The question is, when night falls, with whom do you walk? Stay curious, be inspired, find freedom, wander elsewhere. I'll see you in the next one.